Oh, there it is. I don't know if I want the recording on now.
Uh, my name's Christopher Garcia, and I'll be coordinating in the background. If you have a technical issue, if you chat that over, and I will be looking at that periodically. If you have a question that you'd like Dr. Taylor Sawyer to answer, please put it in the Q&A, and I will ask that intermediately throughout the presentation. And I already see, oh, good morning, Elsa. Good morning, Michelle. I was going to ask everybody who could use the Q&A to put a good morning in the Q&A. I see a hand raised from Holly. So Holly, if you're having issues, would you chat those over? I see a chat. Oh, look at everybody. Okay, good morning, Holly. Good morning, Kathleen. Good morning, Anita. Good morning, Jennifer. Good morning, Kim. So you're using the Q&A pretty well. If during the presentation anything like you can't hear or see us or the slides aren't advancing, would you please raise your hand? And then that will alert us to anything going on. And then I see somebody chatted over this morning. There is no sound. Is there sound now? And I see one other person with their hand raised. So Kim says she has sound. Naomi says she has sound. Michelle has sound. Briss has sound. Jennifer has sound. I see two people with their hands up, Briss and Maria. If you're having a problem, please chat that over to me and we could try to troubleshoot it. I'm going to chat over my office phone number to everybody now in case you need to call me. It's 505-925-8983. Okay, Elsa, you have sound, and if you have a question, if you'd use the Q&A for me, if you have a question for Dr. Sandra Taylor Sawyer, please put it in the Q&A. If you have a question for me, I'm Chris in the background. Maybe you're having an issue, you could put that in the chat. And let's see, Briss and Maria, I have your hands raised. I'm going to lower hands if there's not a problem. I see Pat, you have your hand raised. If there's a problem, please chat that over. And if at any time during the presentation, if you cannot see or hear us or the slides aren't advancing for some reason, please raise your hand and then we'll know that something's going on.
And Christopher, and good morning to everyone. I'm going to launch our first poll. So as you're kind of getting in the groove of things, we're going to add something else for you, and that's just a little poll, our first poll of the day.
Perfect. And without further ado, I'll introduce Dr. Sandra Taylor Sawyer. I'm going to turn off my camera, and I think you have a good group, and I'll turn them over to you, Dr. Taylor Sawyer.
Thank you very much, Mr. Garcia. I appreciate it. Christopher is awesome. So, in addition to everything that we are sharing with you, if you want to send a reaction and give him a hand clap, he does a great job with our New Mexico Small Business Development Center webinars, and we're just really excited that he is here to help us on today. And then I'll have another colleague also later on that will come on and help. And so we are, of course, the New Mexico Small Business Development Center, and we're here to help our existing as well as those individuals who want to start a business. And later on, we'll give you more information on possibly if you need to sit down with us either virtually or in person, one-on-one, for your business questions, issues, concerns, the next step that you need to take to grow your business. myself and Mr. Garcia, along with several other colleagues around the state, are here to assist you. So welcome today. We're really excited to have you here. So we have about 24 participants, well, 22. I guess that's me and you, huh, Chris? And so I think everyone has answered the poll. So I'm going to end that in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we'll end that and we will share the results. So just a fun little question to kind of get us started. Which of the following wild animals do you closely relate your personality to? So looks like tiger. Wow, we have some tigers on this call and on this webinar. So that's pretty cool. Elephant and zebra seems to be tied for second. And then we have those that it's like, Sandra, I'm not an animal. Yeah, okay, 15%ers, you guys are my kind of people. They're not really. And then shark and a rhino are coming in at 10%. So thank you very much for just helping us to just do that first poll. We're excited about that. And I'm sure everyone can still see my screen. And Christopher will definitely let me know if you can't. Cool. So you are here for the QuickBooks Online seminar. QuickBooks also does a desktop, but we're not doing the desktop so for those of you who are working with QuickBooks Desktop, we do have another seminar that's upcoming. It's face-to-face, but it's in our sister location, which is in Hobbs, New Mexico, and that's starting next Monday. And if that's something that you're interested in, you can definitely either take a trip to Hobbs, or if you're already there, attend that desktop, which online and desktop is totally two different universities or universal programs. So there's a difference. So hopefully everyone landed in the correct QuickBooks Online seminar or QuickBooks seminar. So as Christopher said, my name is Sandra Taylor Sawyer, and I'm the director of the New Mexico Small Business Development Center here at Clovis Community College. We have SBDCs throughout the state, and there is definitely one close to your location. I am also a QuickBooks Pro advisor. I do not know everything, but there are some things I do know. And so hopefully I can be able to impart enough knowledge into your mind to help you be comfortable in working with QuickBooks Online. I'm also a business owner, has several businesses that I own. And another thing that qualifies me to actually hold this webinar is that I have been in accounting for, over 30 years, getting my bachelor's and working in the accounting field, and also have my master's in business administration. So another little fun fact, and Christopher, we are, they're always getting on me about, Sandra, can we publish this online and the recording? And I'm like, no, we don't want to do that yet. So I'm really going to try to do it this time, but I do want you to pause it, Christopher, on this one, the recording.
Resumed.
All right, so today we will cover hopefully topics all the way to customers and sales transactions. We'll see how far we get. And then on next week, then we'll cover the remaining of the topics that we don't cover today in part 1, and then pick up part 2 on next Friday, which we'll meet same time, October 15th, next week. So when we really look at QuickBooks, it is really to help you as the business owners. There is some stats that are out, and this was really done by the CEO of Intuit, and also the Small Business Administration has backed these numbers as well. And really the odds against small businesses surviving isn't really that great. 20% fail in the first year. Over half fail in the first 5 years. And really your odds of success are not that great. However, as you use the tools, which QuickBooks Online is one tool that you can use, in addition to getting accounting advice and following the advice. So you can get the advice, but if you don't actually apply it, then that's not very good. So again, we want to help you to do that. One of the things, our first topic is how to convert QuickBooks Desktop to QuickBooks Online. And what I didn't say earlier, and I apologize, if you, hopefully you did get the student guidebook that Christopher sent you out a link to, and you were able to download that. And it is okay if you don't have that open. For some reason, you just may have one screen. Right now, if I can turn my, actually I'll do this. I'm going to turn my camera around just so you guys can see my setup. So I have like 3 monitors going on, which makes it really neat for me. But you may not have that those tools with you, and that's okay. So I would just say, as I am talking and you're writing down questions or thinking of questions, really what I want you to think about is how you can use QuickBooks Online in your business. So the different topics that we'll go over, then kind of think how, okay, so I have this transaction. Oh, okay, that's how I can do this transaction. Or, okay, Sandra still didn't cover how I could record this particular transaction that I did. And that's okay. Those are the type of notes that I'm hoping that you will take, because in the how-to is in your student workbook guide. And so I don't want you to try to write your own student workbook guide, because it is there for you. And hopefully that makes sense to everyone. So some of you may have already started using QuickBooks Online, and some of you probably have not used any of the QuickBooks products. And so this part about converting from QuickBooks Desktop to QuickBooks Online, you may just kind of want to gloss over. But really the take home on this is that you really need to solicit the advice of a pro advisor to help you transition from QuickBooks Desktop to QuickBooks Online. I will tell you that it will definitely be money well spent to actually get a pro advisor to help that to take care of that for you. There are just some very technical things that, even if we had 2 hours just to talk about this, there would be still some things that, I would not be able to communicate to you. But a QuickBooks Pro Advisor, hands-on there, can definitely help you with that. And you can always just go to QuickBooks, search for QuickBooks Pro Advisors. This is what the screen looks like. You put in your location and you can find a QuickBooks Pro advisor to help you. So let's look at QuickBooks Online. And these are just some learning objectives in topic 2 that we're going to go over. had one individual had not purchased QuickBooks Online, and they were wanting to know if they needed it for this class. And so, of course, no, you don't. The neat thing about QuickBooks Online, you don't need it to do this class, because we're actually going to use a dummy business and help you to kind of look around, make mistakes, and it's not going to affect you. But really the main reason is because there's different subscription levels to QuickBooks Online, and we're going to go over those. But some of the benefits, and I always have this question, you know, what's better, QuickBooks Online or is QuickBooks Desktop better? You know, which one is better? So the neat thing is that regardless of what your computer hardware is, whether you have a desktop or a laptop, or you can use your phone, your mobile, or your iPad or tablet, really anywhere that you can access the internet, then you have access to your data files. So you could be in, I have relatives that live outside of the country. So when I go to visit them, I can still have access to my financial data file. Now, I will say, make sure that you use a secure internet setting when you do that, but it is a cloud-based software. It is mobile, as I have said. It's real time. You can also have multiple users, which is really neat. Just being a QuickBooks Pro advisor for our clients, they could be in really anywhere, really anywhere. And we can have access to their data file just to help them with a question that they may have. So that's really neat as well too. It is on a secure service. So for those of you who understand that 128-bit SSL encryption, so they're taking care of you. And there are several, everything is just really seamless. You don't have to worry about backing up your data file, because it is always backed up. So that's really neat as well too. So there are 4 different subscription levels, and the basic, of course, starts at $12 a month and goes all the way up to $75 a month. And so I pulled this off of QuickBooks website yesterday, so this is the latest. So what's the difference? And as you can see, there are different features, and of course the advanced is going to be the one who is like the granddaddy of them all, you know, all wise and all wisdom, and knows everything. And then of course your simple start is probably your infant, you can say. So let's really kind of look at the differences here. So for the simple start, if you're basically looking at, you're just needing to track your income and expenses, you know, what you get from your customers, and then what you pay out to your vendors. You definitely want to maximize tax deductions, and this is true for your business period. You may or may not need invoicing, but that is something great. You just want some basic reports. Maybe you need to send out estimates. And probably you want to track your mileage, because this is probably a business who's is a sole proprietor, one person run business, and they also would have an accountant, and let's see, and it will manage 1099 contractors, so that's important too as well, because you may have those. Now QuickBooks Essentials is where there's more people that you need access to your data file. So for 3 users plus 2 accountant users. Let's say that you need some recurring invoices. And recurring means that, you have customers who every month their invoice amount is the same, or maybe every 3 months or whatever, but it's recurring. And so QuickBooks Essentials will allow you to actually record recurring transactions. You may also need to track time, as well as manage bills, and you may want to have an accounts payable. There's a little bit more customization that's available with this one. And let's say that maybe your business, you are a exporter or importer, and so you may deal with different currencies. So QuickBooks Essentials will help you as well. And it can also do delayed charges also, which can be beneficial to you. Then the third one is Online Plus. And this one will do everything that the other 2 will do. Plus, it gives you 5 users plus 2 accountant users. So 7 people that can have access to your data file. It also allows you to have unlimited users for reports, as well as purchase orders. I know, a lot of businesses may not deal with purchase orders, but there are some. And so if you are in that need for use of purchase orders, Online Plus is for you. It will also allow you to do class and location tracking. So the big thing about class is, let's say that maybe you have your construction business, and you do commercial and you do residential, and maybe you do industrial too. So you can set those up as classes, and this is where all of your income and expenses for all of your commercial projects, you can actually pull financial reports just showing that, as well as the other classes that you have. I do the books for a civic organization. I'm the treasurer. And so what we do is we have main projects throughout the year. And it's only about 1 or 2 projects, main ones, but sometimes it carries from year to year. And so I've set those projects up as classes. And again, which is really neat, because then I can pull a profit and loss report, and it will show me the income and the expenses just on that particular project. And then what location does is very similar to classes, but it's actually based on the location, the physical location. So let's say that you have a business here in Clovis, that's where I'm located, and you have one in Belen, where Christopher is, and then one in Hobbs. And so you can actually set up in your books where you can track activity by locations. So that's how you can use the class and locations. For those of you who have inventory, and when I say inventory, I'm speaking of items that you purchase or manufacture, but items that you purchase and then you resell to your clients. And you want to keep track of that inventory. You want to know how many, let's say it's a flower shop. So how many roses that you have, and then how many that you sold out. And you want to keep track of the type of flowers or the type of vases that you have. Also allows you to do inventory bundles, as well as prepare and print print 1099 forms, which can be very important, and it allows you to do budgets, which is really cool as well too. And then, of course, what I call the granddaddy of them all, and that is QuickBooks Online Advanced. So everything that all the other three does, Simple, Essentials, and Plus, but in addition, it has unlimited general ledger accounts. So definitely, if you have more of a sophisticated, I guess, accounting system that you need for your business, you definitely want to look at Advanced. It also allows you to do batch import or send invoices. So let's say every month, you have over 20, 50 invoices. I mean, whatever your number is. And so it will allow you to do a batch and send them all out. You have more customization with this one. And the number of users is 25. 25 users. And 3 accountant users as well. And then, of course, QuickBooks offers you a little bit more one-on-one assistance with this particular subscription. And so it does have its pluses. So let's do, and we'll do this in Q&A. These are some examples of businesses, and what I'm wanting you to put in the Q&A is what type of subscription, QuickBooks Online subscription, that will be used for this business. Okay, so this individual sells cosmetics at parties for her friends and others, and she doesn't keep inventory. She just wants to keep track of her income and her expenses. She receives payment at the time of sale using Square on her phone or via cash and check. And then she pays all of her expenses with just one credit card. So which subscription would she use? Oh, we have several questions already in here. So we'll address those later here shortly. No taker? Oh, okay. I guess I need to scroll down. Right. Yes, exactly. So she will be using the Simple Start. Okay. Alrighty. So on this next one, this is a dental practice. Now they're going to use a third-party dental practice software where they can, that will manage their billing and their accounts receivables. And then they're going to record their revenue and payments using just one customer. And they're going to call that customer something like patients in QuickBooks. So they're going to have one software system over here, and then they're going to have their QuickBooks Online here on the other side. So they will buy most of their supplies and pay most of their bills using a company credit card. Sorry, I rolled it up. So which one will this dental practice use? That's funny. So I've already rolled up the screen, so it will be Essentials. I have on my mouse, I have this little roller, and so I got to be careful that I don't hit that. Okay, so let's do the next one. Now this one is an interior design firm, and in addition to their design fees, they also buy furnishings on behalf of their clients, and they want to add this inventory to their system because they're going to mark it up. So they're going to buy, let's say a dining room set, and they'll buy it for one price. They want to enter that into their books so that they can actually, it may cost them $1,000, but they're going to mark it up to $2,000 and sell it to their clients. So they want to make sure that they document that. And they need to be able to run profitability reports based on their designers. So they want to make sure, how much is their particular designing, how much revenue is that designer bringing in, and of course they want to use the budget too as well. So which QuickBooks subscription would they use? Alrighty, great. So Online Plus. Thank you guys for participating. Okay, so our last one is an example of a mortgage company. Now, it's a staff, and their staff needs to keep track of all the appraisal values of each of their homes that's being funded for monthly reporting to the state. They also want to keep track of the loan types as well too. So they're looking at something like a customized drop-down list, as well as they also want to have the names of all of their contact persons to appear on their documents. And again, this will require a customized drop-down field. So, of course, I'm sure you guys can get, you guys are such great sports. Thank you for playing. So it is advanced. So thanks for that. So let's go on and address some questions, Christopher. Let's see. So the first question.
Want me to read them out, Sandra?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you.
Elsa asks, will we be reviewing how to set up QuickBooks for our business? Is there a problem if we have QuickBooks Desktop, then begin to use the online version?
So I guess I really kind of already addressed that question. We won't go over exactly how to, well, yes, we will go over how to set up your QuickBooks for your business. Yes. We will not go over in detail how to convert it from QuickBooks Desktop to QuickBooks Online. We won't do that. So is there a, there's a second question she asked.
She was making a comment that the southern part of New Mexico has poor internet speed. So maybe, do you think it's a good option to use online, or would you rather have desktop in that case?
Okay. Well, if it is definitely something that, you can't get to when you're needing it, probably desktop would be better. Definitely. There is like a third-party program, and I cannot tell you exactly what it is. We could research it for you. I just can't think of it right now. But where you can allow your accountant, of course it's via in the internet, to come into your QuickBooks Desktop program. But it's a secure link that you would set up, and like I said, it's a third-party program, and I know we have it here on our computer, but I can't think of the name. So I'll try to research that and get the name of that third-party software to you.
Perfect. Lucia asks, does each company you own need a different QuickBooks account and or license?
Yes, ma'am, they do. They sure do. You have to have a separate one.
Perfect. Sharon asks, do any of the products have an employee time clock?
Yes, they do. Now, not the Simple Start, but the other three do.
We have some of the answers to your questions. Let's see if we have any other questions.
Yeah, there's two more at the bottom.
Elsa asks, which is best to track New Mexico gross receipts taxes? What version?
Okay, so either one will track the New Mexico gross tax.
Perfect. And Brees asked, I currently have 3 employees. Do any of these products help me with this?
Yeah, so I would definitely look at the Essentials, the Plus, or the Advanced for that one. Okay.
Let me check the chat real fast.
And then Sharon, what is the name of the employee time clock part of application? So we'll get into that, Sharon. So if you'll hold off, and hopefully we'll definitely answer that question before this webinar is over with.
Okay, and then Elsa asked, how about, I guess, what do you do if you have multiple businesses?
Yeah. So let's let me kind of tease that out a little bit. When you say multiple businesses, if those businesses have a separate employer identification number, a federal employer identification number, you need a separate online subscription for each of those. Okay? So, like in one of my businesses, it's my husband and I, and he offers one service that's totally different from the service that I offer, but it's still under one EIN number, but still two different services. So I use our QuickBooks Online and I use Plus for that one business, but I just separate it out into classes. Now, for my other businesses that I have, there's a separate EIN number. And so I have a separate online subscription for those businesses. Okay? Alrighty. Good deal. So, let's see. I have another poll question. Let's see what other poll question is up. I don't know if I could advance. Oh, okay, there we go. So here we go. And as I just take a quick 2-minute break here and grab some water, if you all can answer that next poll for me. Alrighty, so we have about 82% that has participated. So we'll close the poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alrighty, so looks like the majority of you have never used QuickBooks Online. So definitely with that, if I go too fast, and Christopher is really good, you know, if you have a problem, you can put that in chat, and he can tell me, you know, Sandra, slow down, because I'm not always monitoring chat. And then for those of you who have used it, and that's the next one, wow, 2 to 5 years. This is a basic class. It's a basic webinar. So there may be times where, you know, hopefully you won't get bored. But if you are okay and you're thinking, hey, I can really explain this, or, you know, I see Sandra kind of struggling with the answer, you know, feel free to raise your hand and we can open your mic and you can feel free to share it, only if you want to. Okay? Alrighty. So let's look at how we get around QuickBooks. So on this one, we will learn some of the newer things that are out on QuickBooks for those of you that may or may not have really been using QuickBooks Online. It is it's really important, you know, before you actually look at which online subscription to purchase, you know, go on and have a conversation. I mean, you can definitely, all of you are now clients of the SBDC, so you can definitely have a conversation with me or Christopher or one of our other colleagues that are knowledgeable. and just to make sure that this is something good for you as well. And then, of course, as we said, a certified pro advisor can help you as well too. So in this webinar, and then at any time, it's just not in this one, you all can access the test drive that they're calling it. And either you can, or Christopher can type it into chat if he hasn't already.
I'll put it in.
And we're going to be using just the first one, the qbo.intuit.com /redir/test drive. They have one for the QuickBooks Online Advanced, and so you can definitely on your own go and look at that and kind of see the differences, see if this is something, the advanced is really something that you're wanting to do as well too. And the neat thing about this test drive is that you cannot break it. So don't think, oh my gosh, I did something wrong to it. Nope, you can't break it, because once you log out of it, then it goes back to where it was before. All this information, the data, the way they put it in is always there. So it uses the business that it uses is a landscape business. So it's a design and landscape service business. And when we get further into it, then you can see that it really covers any type of business, whether you're going to have inventory or you do estimates. It's going to cover the gamut of it. Okay. So that's how, just for practice, you would use the test drive. Now, when you actually purchase your online subscription, this is what your login will look like. When you actually go to the QuickBooks website, it will look like it is on the screen here. So you're going to set up your user ID, which is going to be your email address. So I would say definitely use an email address that you know you're going to keep. Okay. And then of course you'll have your own unique password. That the password can be changed as well too. Okay. So once you get into it, and this is, I believe Sarah had asked this question, is when you get in and you're wanting to start your business, it goes through a wizard, a setup wizard. And it will ask you a series of questions. So some of this information you probably want, well, I mean, you can always go back to it. You don't have to do it all in one setting. But you will definitely want to know, be able to describe your business. What does your business actually do? And that's definitely something that the SBDC can help you with as well too. The full legal name of your business, that's important too as well. And so if your legal name of your business, let's say that you have a limited liability company, a LLC, or you have a corporation and it's the name of your business and Inc. is at the end, your legal name is whatever you have established with the Secretary of State of New Mexico. That is your legal name. Okay. If you're a sole proprietorship and you also got an EIN number, then you want to use whatever you gave the Internal Revenue Service to establish that EIN number. Okay, so that's your legal name. Some of the other things that it will ask at this point, if you want to convert your QuickBooks desktop data to QuickBooks Online. And again, I cannot stress the importance of actually really hiring a pro advisor to do that for you. I love my accountants, my fellow accountants, but not all accountants know QuickBooks. And so that's why it's important that you do reach out to a certified pro advisor, because they have actually taken an exam to say and receive the stamp that they have been certified. Okay. The next thing is just some of the remaining screens. It will talk, someone had asked about which is best subscription for New Mexico gross receipts. All of them will track your sales tax, so that's one of the options that are here too. And so you're just going to configure what is going to be what you're needing in your business. Some of you may not have employees at this time, so of course you won't select to pay your employees because you don't have any. You can always add that later. Okay. The number 3, what's your role in your business? So if it's you setting it up, then of course you're going to be the owner. If you have an employee who's a bookkeeper, or you just hired a bookkeeper or an accountant, you can add them. Let's say, I think there was a question about about tracking employees. So you would actually give your employees a link to your data file, and then you would tell QuickBooks Online what the role that this person will play, whether they're going to be an employee or even an accountant. So there's a specific way that you would tell QuickBooks Online that, and then you would send that person a link to their email address, and then they will come online and register. So this is the QuickBooks Online interface, and we're just going to look at the different items that you need to know and understand what they do. So the first one here is our left, this black is called the navigation bar. So the navigation bar, it creates transactions, it allows search, and you can see the different items listed here that can help you get around. And then this plus new, as I said, this helps you to create transactions. So let's say that you're needing to make a deposit, or you're needing to create an invoice. That's where you would click on that new. And I'm going to pause just a moment, Christopher. And there is a question. So the question is, QuickBooks asks when business was started. Should you go back and enter invoices from start date, or can you start from where you started using QuickBooks? That's an excellent question. So when you are doing, for those of you who don't have QuickBooks Desktop and aren't currently using QuickBooks Online, what you want to do is pick a day in the past. And so let's say that you're wanting to start QuickBooks Online for this year, but your business fiscal year actually started in January. No, you don't want to go back and take time to enter all the transactions from January of 2021 to today. You don't want to do that. So what I would highly recommend that you do is, since this is October 1, or we're already into October, maybe pick September 1 and then go back that far to enter the start date. Or you can just start with October 1. That might be the best. And then just start with all those transactions from October 1 and then forward. So great question, Elsa. Alrighty. So the next item on just navigation to get around on QuickBooks is the gear. So this is in the top right side of the screen, and let me get my pointer. There you go. And this little, it looks like a gear. And so once when you click on the gear, then here at the bottom, this is the screen that will pop up. So first you have your company, list, tools, and then your profile. And then if you wanted to sign out, then you would do that. Okay. So let's look at account settings. So again, we clicked on the gear and we went to account settings, and then these are the options under account settings. There are 7 major categories, and you can see them listed here. So what does the company tab do? So the company tab will allow you to, let's say you put your company name in wrong at the beginning, you can correct it here. You can add your EIN number. If your company name and the legal name is the same, you don't have to re-enter it. But let's say that you have a DBA, doing business as. So my husband, before we actually went with the LLC, he basically had a DBA. It was his first name. Enterprise was his legal business name, so he would put that in company. And then his DBA, oh, I'm sorry, I said it wrong. His legal name would go here, and his DBA would go in company name. Okay? And you don't have to have a DBA. That's just, that's your personal preference. And of course, if you have questions on that and you haven't started your business, make an appointment with one of our fellow SBDC advisors. The tax form, you may not know what tax form that you're using. That's something that your accountant, as well as your SBDC advisor, can help you with as well. Your company email address, your phone number, website address, just kind of some basic information. Then the next one is the billing and subscription. So this is where your QuickBooks Online subscription is. 'Cause sometimes you may think, oh, which one do I actually have? So you can actually go back to billing and subscription and actually find that. It also gives you your company ID number. So this company ID number is just really specific to QuickBooks Online. So when you call in to customer service, they will want to know what is your company ID number. And so this is the number that you would give them. And then, of course, the different subscriptions that you do have. Right now, if you hadn't subscribed to anything, you can subscribe. QuickBooks Online Plus is here because probably you have Essentials. And so that's why the next upgrade would be Plus. So that's why that Plus is there. And then just some other things that it will just share with you. Also, QuickBooks lets you know how many users as well as accounts that you have available in the chart of accounts. So your usage limits tells you, in this case, we have QuickBooks Online Plus. I'm sorry, we have QuickBooks Essentials. I said it right, Plus. I'm sorry. Because that's 5. So we have 1 user and we have 4 more to give. Okay? So let's say that you were already at 5 and you had another employee that came on board and you need to give them access to it, then that's where you can upgrade to advanced. And then your chart of accounts, this is definitely something that your accountant can help you with. There's a limit of 250, but I would say probably you shouldn't have that many chart of accounts. You should probably never get to this 250. You can always actually inactivate some of your accounts, and that will give you room as well too. Okay, so the next setting under account settings would be sales. So once you would click on sales, this is what it looks like. And so your sales are those documents that you are giving to your customers. So these are your invoices and your receipts and your estimates. Those are the sales documents that we're talking about. And so you have different type of options that you can turn off or turn on, usually at any time. Let's say if you're wanting to charge late fees on overdue invoices, you can actually turn that option on, where QuickBooks will automatically, based on the percentage or the amount that you gave it, it will actually charge late fees on past due invoices, overdue invoices. You can also set up reminders where you have customers, you sent them an invoice, and if they hadn't paid it by that certain time period, it will just automatically send them a reminder, hey, you need to pay this invoice. And then the option to do it online. With the civic organization that I'm on, all of the invoices that I do, they are all sent via email. I rarely print out an invoice and mail it. And then you also have the option of doing statements as well too. Then the next one is the expenses. So this is again where these are monies that you are paying to your vendors for any type of items that you're needing, whether you're buying inventory or you're paying your electric bill. You can actually customize it to how you want it to be. Okay, just want to pause here. Okay, Sharon, I think I may have already answered that question, and that's where you would go into the account settings. You're asking when I'm online in the app, how do I see which QuickBooks Online product I have? And that's where you would click on that gear and then go to the subscription and settings. Bryce thought QuickBooks had payroll included. Do we have to get a separate subscription for that? Yes, you do. That's also true for QuickBooks Desktop. It is a separate subscription, and I believe next week is when we're going to talk about payroll. Are all of this included in the simple basics? I'm not sure, Elsa, exactly what you are asking about. Is this all included in the simple basics? So if you're talking about the gear and those things, yes. See, Judy, if you have Office in the home now, can you use your bills for expenses or no? Judy, I may need you to tease that question out a little bit more, and I apologize, I don't understand. If you have office in the home now. I don't know if you're talking about if you have a home-based business. Can you use your bills for expenses? I'm not sure if that's your question. Okay, yes, that is your question. Yes. So that's really a loaded question, Judy. So the Internal Revenue Service does allow you to use some of your home expenses for your business, but really that's more of an in-depth question, and we would love to probably sit with you one-on-one and kind of answer that question. But basically, yes, there are some expenses for your home that you can use if you have a home-based business, but it varies, okay? Okay, Elsa, yes, I think I did answer that. Yes, what I'm sharing with you now is in simple basics. However, like the purchase orders that you see on the screen right now, where really any of these expenses, that's probably not going to be available in the simple. And then some of the items that I had on the sales document, no, not all of those will be in the simple either. Alrighty. So payments. QuickBooks payments. This is where QuickBooks will allow you to take credit cards or do bank transfers. You can accept payments through QuickBooks. And so kind of one way of using this as an example, let's say that you send out an invoice and you have set it up where your customers can pay you through that invoice using their credit card or their a bank ACH payment. QuickBooks will allow you to do that. So that's what that QuickBooks payment is. The existing account, this one here is when you're going to use QuickBooks as more or less a merchant account service. You can connect this to QuickBooks as well. This is one of those apps that QuickBooks allows you to and I believe this one is a free use, and we'll talk a little bit more about that here shortly. Then the next setting is advanced settings. In advanced settings, this would be more of when does your fiscal year start. So most of your fiscal year may start in January. However, some of you may start in April or have a July fiscal year or even a September start for your fiscal year. So this is where you can change it. First month of the income tax year. This is definitely an accountant question where your fiscal year may be different from your income tax year. So that's a conversation you want to have with your accountant. Which accounting method you want to use? There are two. There's the cash method and then the accrual. And the cash method basically says that you're going to record cash when you receive it, and you're going to pay it. You're going to record it when you pay it. The accrual method says that you're basically a customer wants you to perform a service for them. You are going to go on and basically bill them for the service, even though they haven't paid you yet for it. So you're going to kind of do an advanced billing. And then the expenses side of that, let's say that you get your electric bill in, you're going to go on and record that in your books, but you're not going to pay it until a later date. but it's still recorded in your books. That's kind of like, it's a quick lesson on cash and accrual. When you close your books, again, that's a great question to have with your accountant. The tax form, great question for your accountant. I highly recommend that for your chart of accounts that you use a numbering system. So not only do you have the verbiage, the name of the account, but you also use a numbering system. And we'll look at that here shortly as well too. Whether you're going to use classes or locations, have it on or off, projects, time tracking, if you're wanting to track your employees' time with different customers, you can do that. And then you have different preferences for how you want the date to appear, or the numbering, or how you want to label your customers. So like for the civic organization, we don't label our members customers because they're members. So we use the word members. So you can customize that. Now, the other thing, since you are online, QuickBooks automatically has a inactivity fallback, I guess you could say, or setting. So if you have your QuickBooks Online open and there's no activity, you don't hit your mouse to kind of wake it up, and it's over an hour, then QuickBooks will automatically sign you out. And you can change this. I think the most that you can set it to is like 3 hours. Okay. Alrighty. I've kind of went over all that already. All right, so let's look at how you're going to manage your users. So that would be the next setting. So I don't know if you can see this. This looks really small for me.
We could see it.
You can see it? Okay. All righty.
Do you want to take a break to do Q&A in a second?
Sure. Actually, let's go on and do that right now. I can grab some water.
Sharon asks, when I'm online in the app, how do I see which QuickBooks Online product I have?
Oh, you know what? I've already answered that. Did I not do it right?
Here, I'll get rid of it.
Actually, I think I guess I was supposed to do done.
Okay, so then we could start from here. Can you, Chris asks, can you run both cash and accrual, switch back and forth, or are you stuck with one when you start?
That's a great question, Chris. Yes, QuickBooks Online as well as desktop will allow you to switch, run your reports in cash and accrual. So it will do that for you. So the option when I was talking about, that's just what QuickBooks would just normally have your reports in accrual all the time. And then you would have to manually change it to cash. But yeah, you can do that.
Thank you, Sandra. You were efficient and you answered most of the questions, so we're done.
Okay, thanks. Alrighty, so I think I went back. Let's see. Okay, manage users. Alrighty. So there are some different user types, and we had talked about that. So you can actually set up where you can have basically two different categories. You can have your users, and then you can have your accounting firms. And to add a user button in the user tab, of course, you would just add a new user, and this window will appear. You would choose the type of user that you want to add, the standard user or the company admin. Then you have those users that you kind of want to limit what they will actually have as far as the different reports that will be available to them. Whether you want them to see all the reports or maybe you just want them, and I think Sharon again asked this question, can the employees track their time? And so yes, they can. So you would make them a user, but you would only give them time tracking ability for them. Okay. And of course the company admin, let me change my screen here. The company admin has access to all areas of the program, as you can see on this screen. There we go. And this also includes the QuickBooks payroll. And I think Chris had asked that question. So if you do a subscription, if you need the payroll, the company admin user would have access to it. They would also have access to the QuickBooks payments that I had talked about as well too. Now, so that's the company admin. So there is another user title, and that is the master admin. That is it is the only I guess it's it's sort of like the company admin, but the master admin is the one that can really add everybody else. Okay, if that kind of makes sense. And you won't see down here an option when you're selecting the user type. You will not see a master admin. So it's only these that are listed here. But this Esther, I believe is her first name, she's the master admin because she's the one that purchased the subscription, started this data file, this online subscription. So she's the master. Okay. Okay, let's see. Oh yeah, and it also, let's see, active, what else? Oh, the date that it was added. Yes. And okay, so it has all that for you. Let me just look over my notes real quick, make sure that there's not something else. So I guess to answer one of the other questions, I think Elsa had asked this question about, is this available in simple? Like this time tracking is not available in Simple Start. So that's not available there. Okay. So I talked about customizing forms, the different styles where you can customize. And you know, so just to let you know, QuickBooks is still limited. Yes, it tells you that it will allow you to customize the different forms, but it still has its limitations to it. I worked with one client that had a really elaborate invoice, and they wanted to use it, and they wanted to use it in QuickBooks. Well, some of the features we were able to put in the customized form in QuickBooks, but some of the things we just were not. And so they chose, you know, not to use this portion of QuickBooks for their invoices. They like the ones that, you know, they could just print at their local print shop and just use those. So again, it's still great, but it still has its limitations too as well too. So there are 3 different options up here when you are creating your forms. And this one, we're creating an invoice. So we're on the design tab, and here is where you can name the different the sales form, the invoice form, the different template. You can add your own logo, which is really unique. You can change the coloring scheme, and of course, it's their colors. So if you have a particular type of blue that you use, it may or may not be one of the blues that are part of this color. Okay. The font you can also select as well too, and of course this the fonts that they have available. And of course, when you make all those changes, you can always print it out, or you can also preview it too as well. So that's really kind of how you would develop your own form. And now let's talk about chart of accounts. I talked about that earlier. So your chart of accounts is really the backbone of your business. Every transaction that you have in your business will use the chart of accounts. And your chart of accounts also appear on your financial statements. And so your financial statements are your balance sheet, your profit and loss statement, or your income statement. They'll appear in your budget. So any of your financial statements. And of course, to access the chart of accounts, you're just going to, one way to get there is to click on the gear icon that I showed you earlier. And then another way of doing that is, as shown on the screen, is through the left navigation bar. And then you would go down and you see accounting, and then there'll be a drop down, and it'll say chart of accounts or reconcile. And so you can select chart of accounts, or if you just click on the accounting, go back, then this chart of accounts will appear. Okay. And we'll talk about chart of accounts here again when I get into the actual online program. Okay. Another thing is this Quick Labs. Quick Labs is just really a place where you can get to try out new things that Intuit is doing with QuickBooks Online. It's not necessarily available in your software at that point, but it's just where you can just practice with it. Just something that Intuit is just thinking about adding to it. So that's basically your QuickBooks Labs. So another part of getting around on QuickBooks, and I did mention this earlier, is the top navigation bar. I talked about the left navigation. So this is the top, and this is at that top right. It has several menus and features, and of course, just to get to them, it's just a matter of just clicking on them. So if you're needing help, and there is a lot of information out there on QuickBooks Online, and you can definitely just click on the help and just type your question, and there will be different other users that have asked those questions, or there may be a tutorial, or there may be a paper that was written on your particular question that you may have. And then of course you have your search. So if you're trying to find a let's say that you did a transaction on October 8th of 2020, and you want to see all the transactions for that particular date. So you can just type in the date, click the search, and it will bring up all those transactions that are related to October 8th, 2020. Or you're trying to find a particular amount. You know, you wrote a check for $5,000 $639.20 and you want to find it, you can put in that amount in the search and it'll look for it. Notifications, very similar to any other type of program. When QuickBooks is wanting to send you something, or maybe there's an update, or maybe there's something new to the QuickBooks Online, that would be in your notifications. And then I've talked about the gear icon. We've already talked about that. So here is our list. You have, again, we had talked about your company. Now this is the list. So QuickBooks, again, to help you in preparing your transactions, it provides lists, other information that you can use in order to do that transaction. So we talked briefly about the chart of accounts. And this, again, is another way to get to that chart of accounts. There's also recurring transactions. And how I use the recurring transactions is we have annual dues that we send an invoice for. So I have an annual invoice that is recurring. I've already set all the information up in that invoice. And so every year when I need to send out dues or invoices for dues, then I can just go to this recurring transaction and tell QuickBooks to send it out to all of our members. You can use this for rental. If you have a rental business, that's a recurring transaction. So it's going to be the same amount, every time. Then all of us have products or services or both. And you want to tell QuickBooks what products that you're wanting to sell to your customers, what services that you have available that you're providing to your customers. And so you would put that in your products and service list. And we'll talk about that as well too. Okay. The product category, again, we'll talk about that later as well when we talk about products and services. We've already talked about custom forms. So that'll be this is one way of getting to that, to customize your different forms. So one of the lists, or 3 lists that are not here, which I'm not sure why QuickBooks Online did this, but they did. But your lists for your customers, your vendors, and your employees, you will not find it here. Those are actually, so for your customers, those are in your sales and invoicing area. For your vendors, that's in your expense. And then, of course, for your employees, it's going to be in the workers and payroll. And that is on that left navigation bar that I had talked about earlier. So we'll see that. Okay. So let's see what time we have. It's 10:55.
You want to do some Q&A and then take a break, Sandra?
Yeah, let's definitely do some Q&A. Yeah.
Okay. Elsa asks, I may be jumping ahead, but does the payroll also deduct state taxes?
Well, no, it doesn't. Oh, you're talking about state withholding tax. Sorry. I'm believing that's the tax that you're talking about. Yes, so payroll takes care of your federal as well as your state taxes. It will also do workers' comp for you as well. And we will, yes, definitely get into that next week.
There's another question. So then does the advanced QuickBooks have payroll included?
No, Bryce, payroll is totally a separate subscription regardless of which QuickBooks Online subscription that you use.
And then in the QuickBooks bar, there is an option for payroll. What do you do with that one?
Okay, so when you do click on it and it doesn't recognize that you already have a paid subscription, then that's where basically you can activate your payroll subscription.
Perfect. Sharon asked, how did you just get to that list? So
Okay.
Sharon, if you want to know what list where you're talking about, just put that in the Q&A.
Yeah. And so the list is off of the gear. So you would, let me just go back here. So when you click on the gear icon, then the account settings, the list, I can't remember, tools, and then I can't remember the other one. You'll see 4 different options that will actually come up. Let me see if I can go back real quick. Sorry, I hope I'm not making anyone dizzy.
I think you touched on it, what Sharon needed. She says, there it is.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. Profile, that was the 4th one. Yeah, and that's your list. Okay,
and
awesome.
Then the last question is, Chris wants to go over how you integrate Square with QuickBooks Online.
Okay, great. So that will, I will see if I can incorporate that, Chris, in for next week, to actually do that. See if we have time to actually do that. Okay?
Sounds good.
Alrighty. Okay. Yeah. So it's 2 minutes till. So great. See, we're gonna go on and end the poll. We only have about 72% that have participated. So this is one sign I know that hopefully everyone's back. So we're gonna end the poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alrighty. So, one of the things. Oh, that was accounting course. It didn't make it. So, have you taken a college level introduction to accounting course? One of the things that I highly recommend that our business and potential business owners do is take that introduction to accounting course. You could definitely take it as an audit. It is going to be time consuming, but it will be well worth you understanding the business side of your business. So I highly recommend that you all do take the time to do that. Maybe at some point we'll offer, well, actually several of our partners do offer basic record keeping courses online, and so you can definitely take advantage of that, as well as sitting down with one of our business advisors one-on-one and really talking in depth about your record keeping. So let me share my screen.
You can see it. It's in the full view.
Okay, cool. Let me move this. There we go. Okay, so let's see. I think I clicked on the wrong one. Hold on, let me stop share. Let's see, let me go back. Okay. Oh, technology, you just gotta love it. Okay, it is not doing what I wanted to do, so I apologize, y'all, if you just bear with me here. Okay, alrighty. So again, we're underneath that gear icon, and then this is the second or the third column, and this is the tools menu. And really just, you know, the basic things that you really kind of need to kind of run your business. Order checks if you want to get your checks through into it. You can also import and export data, which is really neat. You can, let's say that you have just a customer list or a vendor list, or your own chart of accounts, or a product and service list. You can export or import that data into your QuickBooks Online. And so that way you won't get all of the, you know, maybe there's some transactions in your desktop QuickBooks that you just don't want, but you just want that basic list. You can upload or import those into QuickBooks Online. You can also export data as well too. If you're wanting, for some reason, you know, I know some people who have wanted to go back to desktop, QuickBooks Desktop, and so you can export data back from online back into desktop if you're wanting to do that. Also reconcile, and we're going to do some reconciling as well too. Budgets, talked about that. Now the budget is only available if you have plus or advanced subscription levels. Audit log, which is really neat. Anytime a user logs into your QuickBooks data file, then anything that they do, it is tracked. And you can find out where users have been by going to this audit log as well too. Smart Look is when you're online and you're needing tech support from Intuit, then you can allow them to have temporarily remote access to your screen. And so that's what Smart Look is. And then Case Center is, again, if you have questions or you've done some tech support with Intuit, and maybe they have to do some research or something, and there's an open case, then you will find it here in the Case Center. So that's what the tools is. And then under the navigation bar, so that left side navigation bar where I had shared with you earlier, it has the plus new. This is all the transactions that you are going to do in QuickBooks Online. Now, some of these features are, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that this is showing you everything that would be in advance. So if you have plus or essentials, some of these options may not be available. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So you do, for the first column, everything related to your customers that you would have, like invoicing, receipt, payment, estimates. So estimates, actually estimates are available on Simple Start. But whereas delayed credit or delayed charges, that's not available on Simple. But it is, these latter two, it is available on Essentials, Plus, and Advanced. Okay. Then the next column is for your vendors. So anything related to people who you owe money to, that's your vendors. So expense and check, You'll see that on Simple Start, but then where Simple Start, you will not see bill, pay bills, purchase orders is only available on Plus and Advance. Vendor credit is only on everything except Simple. And then, of course, credit card, payments, and print checks will be on all 4 subscriptions. Then the next one you have is employees. So again, if you subscribe to the payroll program, and that's a question that has been asked several times, then this portion, the payroll, will be, or employees will be activated. For the single time activity, only everything except Simple will have this option, as well as the weekly timesheet. So Simple will not have it. And then under the other column, this is where you can make your bank deposits, or if you want to transfer from one checking account to another checking account. If you need to do some journal entries, if you want to prepare statements, those items are available for you. Now for inventory quantity adjustment, that's only available on Plus or Advance only. And then if you want to pay down, make an extra payment or something on a credit card, then there's an option there. Okay. Alrighty. So I had talked about search. I had told you about it, but here's a screen of really kind of how that looks. And again, this is where you can search for particular transactions, whether they're the amount or the date. And here are how you can filter those out. Okay. And again, here we are at the main screen, looking at the left navigation bar. And so we've already talked about the Plus New. Those are the different transactions. Now we'll look at some of the other options that are here. So right now we're highlighting the dashboard, and this is what you will see when you actually go into when you open up your QuickBooks Online account. It will automatically go to the dashboard, and so it's just a really quick view of what the activity in your business. And so it has a lot of good information for you, and again, you can just kind of take time to look over that. The next option on the left navigation bar is transactions, and here is where you'll set up your bank connections for your bank accounts as well as your credit card accounts. And again, it's totally up to you if you want to make that connection, but I would highly recommend that you do that because it will save you time and effort. Now once you are connected to your bank account, it will update daily, and you can also set up bank rules. And just an example of like a bank rule, it would be if let's say that there's a transaction that comes in and it's for your electric bill, and you want that electric bill, or when I say electric bill, that the check that you wrote, or the payment, the withdrawal that was taken out of your check, you always want that to go to a particular account. And so you can set it up as a bank rule into QuickBooks. So you can set up any bank rule, so whatever transactions come in, you can tell QuickBooks this is what you want it to do every time that particular payment or deposit comes in from that, whether it's a vendor or a customer. Okay. The next one is the expense. And then, of course, expenses. This is where you can set up bills, checks, do vendor credits, credit card, and even purchase order. And then you have, and QuickBooks has kind of changed the name. Instead of invoicing, it was at one point sales, and they're kind of going back and forth. And so until we get into a live actual online subscription, I'll just have to see what the wording is. But if it's invoicing or sales, it's dealing with customers. And under this tab, you can either create invoices, receive in payments, refunds, and this is basically where you access your customers. Okay. Then you have projects, and this is basically where you're wanting to group different activities, and you can put them in projects. Workers or payroll. Again, this is anything dealing with your employees as well as your 1099 contractors. So it'd be for both of them. And then reports, where you're going to actually print your different financial statements, your customer list, your vendor list. A lot of things are in reports. Taxes, this is where you are going to pay your gross receipts tax as well as your payroll tax. So you will do it under this heading on the navigation bar. Mileage, if you're having it track mileage, whether it's business or personal, it will be here. Accounting, this is where you can access your reconcile window as well as your chart of accounts, and we talked about that earlier. And then my accountant, this is where you're basically going to dialogue electronically with your accountant or your tax preparer. So if you have a question or if there's something that your accountant needed from you, this is where you can actually go and put it. And so that way it's always within your QuickBooks Online account. And then apps. And so that's a question I believe Chris had asked is, how do we connect with Square? You're going to do it through this apps. And again, to go out over the actual steps, I'll see if I can do that next time. And then QuickBooks also has live bookkeeping, where you can actually gain access to bookkeepers that Intuit provides, and they can help you set up and kind of get you going. And that may be an option in addition to or instead of going to a pro advisor, so you can do the live bookkeeping. And then cash flow is exactly what it says, where you're forecasting money that is going to come in or out at a future date. So that's your cash flow. Alrighty, I think we have some questions, Christopher.
Yes, we do. Let's see. Is QuickBooks Desktop Pro 2018 outdated?
That's a great question. So I always got to count. So it's 3 years. So what's that? 19, 20, 21. So yes, probably this year, if not already, it is outdated. And so basically what that is saying is that Intuit will not do, let's say that there's something wrong with the software, they're not going to fix it. That's what the outdated means. And also, if you have, if you subscribe to a payroll subscription, then it's no longer going to work in 2018 with your QuickBooks Pro.
That's a bummer.
Desktop. Yeah, they do 3 years.
Okay, thank you, Sandra. Judy asks, how do you categorize a refund or a credit if you return materials you did not use or need to the store?
Yeah, so that is one thing that we're going to talk about, Judy.
Okay, let me check the chat real quick.
Okay.
Nothing in the chat, so we are good.
Alrighty. So I do want to, well, I'll just do it this way. So your expenses, and this is what your expense tab looks like. Really kind of, it's really neat. You know, they have this, QuickBooks calls this a money bar. And you can see, for those of you who might use purchase orders, you know, what purchase order is waiting. I really like this next one. And this shows all of your bills that are past due that you need to pay. Now, of course, Simple Start will not have this because it does not do accounts payable like this, because you're only recording expenses as you pay it. But in any of the other subscriptions, it will have the overdue as well as open bills. And this is only when you actually enter that information. Once you get your telephone bill or your electric bill, you know, they give you, what, 10 or 15 days to pay it off. But you, as soon as you receive that bill, you go on and enter it into QuickBooks, and we'll do this here shortly. And that's how we have this 1,603 as open bills. And then it tells us what bills we have paid in the last 30 days. So this is pretty cool. And then it lists all of our vendors, phone numbers, their emails, and then what we owe them. And then this last column, it tells us what is the next action. So like for Bob's Burger Joint, we don't owe them anything. So now we can create a bill. So that's like the next step for this particular vendor. For the insurance agency, we have entered the insurance bill. And so that's why we have a balance of $241.23. So the next step in the process would be to make the payment. Okay? So that's really kind of how QuickBooks works with the expense when dealing with our vendors. The next one is for our customers, and that's the invoicing. And again, depending on what changes QuickBooks has made, you may have more options up here. But when you click on the invoicing, there are 5 tabs. There's one for the overview, invoices, customers, all sales, and then product and services. And we're going to go over each of these as well too. Okay. So let's do this. Let me go. You know, when we do talk about chart of accounts, it is so critical to make sure that you get assistance from your accountant, you know, or your pro advisor to really help you set up your chart of accounts. A chart of account, accounts and chart of account, it's not like you're wanting to, well, for example, when we think about utilities, so we know we have an electric bill. So in accounting, we will use the word electricity or utilities. You know, you can lump them all together if you wanted to. But you wouldn't label an account call the name of your electric company. So here in our neck of the woods, our electric company is Excel. I'm not going to have a chart of account that's with the name of that company. I'm going to have it as the type of the service that I'm purchasing from them, which is electricity. Okay, so hopefully that kind of makes sense. But if it doesn't, that's okay. We do have, and I forgot to send this to Christopher, but we can get it to you all. We have a list of chart of accounts. So different accounts that you will have. It's not an all-inclusive list, but it's definitely something that you can start with as you begin to have that conversation with your accountant. So let's actually look at a chart of accounts, and I am going to share my screen here and go to, okay, so hopefully you see my
we're seeing your login, you logging into QuickBooks Test Drive.
Okay. I should have did this. It still comes up. Okay.
It times out, Sandra, and then you have to do it again anyway.
Well, no, I was trying to get rid of something else because you're recording.
Oh, I could pause recording. There we go, and go ahead.
Alrighty, cool. So I'm at the screen where I can actually log in now to the test drive. And of course, I know all of you are familiar with, all you have to do is just copy that link that Christopher put in the chat, and then paste it to a browser. So the best browser to use is really Google Chrome. I have used Safari as well as Firefox, and I have not had a problem with it, but Intuit recommends Chrome as the best one. So, and you all have seen this, you got to verify that you're not a robot, right? So you just click on that and hit continue. And if everybody's trying to get in, then it's going to slow. Well, we don't have that many folks, but sometimes it can slow down. So this is our dashboard for our Craig's Design and Landscape Services. So I want to go to accounting and then go to chart of accounts. So again, we get this main screen. Right now we're on the chart of accounts tab, and then there's a reconcile tab. And I think it's really cool the way they do it, because chart of accounts is like under the hood of your car. It's like what makes your financial records go. So it's that engine that drives it. So we'll click on see your chart of accounts. And there are several things that it does tell us up at the top. Of course, we're in the chart of accounts. But the very top, it tells us that we are in a sample company. So again, you know that you are not messing in your live QuickBooks subscription where you're just going to try to figure things out, right? Then this next little box here I want to just talk about is it tells us how many accounts that we're using. So we're using 44 of the 250 that are available to us. And then it tells us that, hey, if you're running out, then you can always upgrade. And it will tell you what the next upgrade is. So since this is advanced, the upgrade is advanced, then this sample company is QuickBooks Plus. Okay, So we can get rid of that just by hitting the X here, and that box goes away. So in accounting, your chart of accounts always start with what we call balance sheet accounts. And your balance sheet accounts first start out with assets. And your assets are basically things in your business. And this could be your checking account, cash that you have on hand, it's accounts receivable, inventory, it's your truck, your equipment, your autos, your furniture and fixtures. Those are your assets, okay? Then the next category is on the balance sheet that would appear on your chart of accounts would be liabilities. And liabilities is money that you owe to someone else. So your liabilities would start with accounts payable, your credit cards, any taxes that you owe to like the state of New Mexico, like the Taxation and Revenue Department, or taxes that you owe to the federal government, your payroll taxes. It could also be, if definitely when you have employees, pay that you owe to your employees. It also is loans or notes payable. So those are the liabilities. So that's the second category within your chart of accounts. The third category in your chart of accounts is what we call equity. And depending on the legal structure of your business, it could be owner's equity, it could be members' equity if you're LLC, or it could be shareholders' equity if you're a company or corporation, I should say. And so that's equity. Then, as the fifth category in your business, you will have income. Income is basically money that you receive from the products and the services that you sell. That's your income. Okay? Then the next category, and this only depends if you are selling products to your customers. The next category would be what we call cost of goods sold. And cost of goods sold is basically, again, those products that you purchase from a vendor and that you have resold to your customers. So that's the cost of goods sold. So that would be the next category. Then the next category on your chart of accounts is your expenses. And your expenses is really defined as those outflows of money that the Internal Revenue Service says that you can claim as a deduction. So again, your expenses are only those that are allowed by the Internal Revenue Service. So this includes advertising. You can kind of see some of them. Your fuel, bank charges, commission, equipment rental, insurance, and it goes on and on. And again, as I said, we do have a sample chart of accounts. It's like I think it's about 4 pages, and we'll send that out to you so that you can have that. So, and then the final 2 categories on our chart of accounts is what we call other. So we have other income, and then we have other expenses. And other income is monies that we have received that have nothing to do with the products or services that we offer to our customers. So an example of this is like interest earned. So monies that you put in your checking or your savings or your money market account and you earn interest on it, that doesn't have anything to do with your products or services. So the interest you earn, the Internal Revenue Service wants you to categorize it as other income. Another example of this is, let's say that you have a building and you have your business in 75% of that building, and then 25% of that building you actually rent out to other businesses. Well, the rental money that you receive from that 25% is an other income, because you're not in the business of rental property, right? That's not your main business. So that's other income. Other expenses definitely is just like the other income. It's expenses that you have that are not normally a part of your business. And a great example of that would be, let's say that you got an insurance settlement, or I'm sorry, you had to pay an insurance. It was a penalty that you had to pay, something that you had to pay. That would be another expense, because it doesn't happen often. Again, it's not a part of the normal expenses or the normal cost to run your business. Okay, so those are the categories of the chart of accounts. So again, in accounting, we kind of divide those into two main areas, and I started out with the balance sheet. So your balance sheet consists of your assets, your liabilities, and your equity. Your financial statements, your income statements, or your profit and loss statement is where you would have your income and your expenses, as well as your other income and your other expenses. That would go on your profit and loss statement. Okay? So when you think of those two separate categories, balance sheet and income statement, all of your balance sheet accounts has what's called a register, and it's very similar to like your checking account. So let me show you. Actually, I'm going to do your accounts. I'm going to do accounts receivable. I'm going to view this register, and you will see that it looks really the same as like your check register, right? Your checkbook register, where you'll have the date, you'll have a reference number and a type, then you'll have who the payee is. I mean, what person are you sending this to or receiving it from? And then a memo. And again, a memo is just internal description of really what is this transaction about. Then in the next column, you'll have the charge or the credit in this particular example. And then in the next column, you'll have where they made the payment and the due date. And then a running balance is the latter column, the far right. So all of your balance sheet accounts have a register. So regardless if it is, of course, checking, that's going to have a register. Even when we look at a liability like our credit card is going to have a register also. Our opening balance equity account will have a register, but our retained earnings won't, and we'll get into that later. Okay, so just remember, if it has a register, then it's a balance sheet account, or if it's a balance sheet account, then it has a register. And the balance sheet accounts are basically a picture view of where your business is on a particular day. That's basically what your balance sheet shows you. Okay. Then we have your income statement or profit and loss statement. Those are used interchangeably. And those accounts will not have a register. Those accounts are where you can just print a report. So let's look at design income and let's run a report. So I click on the report link. You saw me do that. And there are some customization that I can do to this report. Right now, automatically it's going to show me all the income that I've received within the last 90 days as of July 10th, 2021. I can also group my all of these transactions either by name, customer, vendor, the day. Let's say that I wanted to see all of the income that I receive on a particular day. So I can group it that way. And if I change this, I always want to click on Run Report so that this bottom part will change. Okay. So now I can go to the report and it shows me all the design income that I received within the last 90 days. And it breaks it down by date, the transaction type, number, the name. So that would be the customer that I received this money or I received or billed them for. I put something in the memo. And the account, which design income is the account on the chart of accounts, which is part of my income statement. Okay. And then the amount, and then again it gives me a running balance. Okay, so let's stop and let's make sure there's not any questions on what I've just talked about, Christopher.
Let's see. First one from Lucia: do open bills include overdue, or are they separate?
Yeah, so they would be separate.
Perfect. Elsa asks, so if you don't name chart of accounts, how does the check to pay this account get changed to the name for payment? I'm guessing if you don't have an account in the chart of accounts, how do you charge a payment to that account? You have to add it, right?
Yeah, you'll have to add it. And yes, we can definitely show you how to add the accounts. Okay. All right, so let's go back to chart of accounts. I would just pause and see if there's any questions on chart of account except how you actually create one, because we'll do that here shortly.
Let me check the chat. Nothing in the Q&A yet.
Okay. All right. So this again is really important when you are establishing chart of accounts, to again have that conversation, you know, with your accountant or with a pro advisor. And even if if you don't and you mess up somewhere, hopefully with not a lot of time and effort, it can be fixed. There is another account, and we're going to actually create that now. I'll show you how to do that. And we're going to call it Ask My Accountant. And what that account will be is just anytime that you have a transaction and you're like, okay, I wrote the check for it because I paid for whatever, but I don't know what other account that needs to go into. You can put it in Ask My Accountant. And then again, hopefully you have an accountant that can, hopefully you do have an accountant that can tell you where you need to put that particular transaction. That's what you'll pay them the big bucks for, right? All right, so to answer the question, so how do you create a new account within the chart of accounts? So this is only one way of doing it. So I'm already in the chart of accounts, and then here is this button, new, that's to the top right. And so you'll just click on the new, and then you'll get this screen that says account, and hopefully you can see this. Yes, Christopher?
Yes, we can.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so you have different account types. And remember I was telling you the balance sheet account, and there's assets and liabilities, all that, da-da-da-da-da. Yep, right? So that's the account type. So what Intuit has done is really kind of expand that to more than just the 5 accounts that I shared with you. They broke them down a little bit further. And some of this is accounting terminology too. So accounts receivable. In accounting, that's still just what we would call an asset, a current asset. That's it. But QuickBooks or Intuit breaks it down to an accounts receivable as an account type. Or it could be another current asset. And I really didn't talk about current assets and current liabilities. So just as a FY, what a current asset is any asset that will convert to cash in 1 year or less. So, of course, cash is already cash, so that's a current asset. Accounts receivables is a current asset because you want your customers to pay you hopefully within 30 days and not any longer, but definitely not 13 months from now, right? So accounts receivable is a current asset. Of course, bank, that's cash. And then, now this is an accounting term, a fixed asset. So a fixed asset is any of your assets that have a life that's longer than a year. So an example of this would be your equipment. So you go and you purchase a computer, and you're believing that that computer is going to last you more than 1 year. So that's a fixed asset. Another fixed asset would be an automobile, a vehicle, any other machinery, furniture and fixtures. Those are fixed assets. And then if something doesn't fall into a current asset or a fixed asset or accounts receivable category, then you can put it in other assets. And again, that's something, that's a discussion you want to have with your accountant, or you let your accountant do it. I wouldn't worry about that one. Then, of course, other types we have is our liabilities, and they break it down a little bit more. Accounts payable and credit card. This is a business type that Intuit has done. An accounting breakdown is the other current liabilities. And just like current assets, current liabilities is debt that you're going to pay in 1 year or less. Then you have your long-term liabilities, and that would be liabilities that you will pay in 1 year or more. So this could be like your mortgage, or a 2 or 5 year note that you may have. That's going to be a long-term liability. Of course, and then we have equity income. Those are all accounting terminology, and as well as cost of goods, so expenses and other expenses. So you'll need to determine what type of account this is. So since it's a question for our accountant, we're going to put it in the account type other expense. Then QuickBooks wants us to break it down a little bit further into a detail type. And anytime you see this red asterisk, then that means you have to put something in the box. You can't go any further unless you put something in the box. So we're going to call this an other expense, and we are just going to look at what the detail type is and see if there's anything that fits. And the only thing that really fits would be other miscellaneous expense. So really kind of when you're in doubt, just go on and put it in other miscellaneous expense, and then you want to make sure that you do, let your accountant know. Okay? So just don't, instead of, so just make sure that you create this account that says Ask My Accountant. And some of your subscriptions may already come with this account already set up. And you can put in here, I just do not know. Please help. You can really put anything in here. It's really just internally to you. Okay. So do we have some questions on that? Christopher, I see two that popped up.
Yes, let's see. How do you get to the account tab?
Okay, I'll go back out and do that. So I'll do it when I finish. I'm sorry. So, I think he had to get the phone. So Elsa said the difficulty of the accounting piece is figuring out where to place items. Is there a glossary or cheat sheet? Yes, that's what we're going to send out to you, Elsa. Okay. So now we have some choices here at the bottom left or bottom right of this screen. Right now it says save and close, but there's an arrow right here that's pointing down. I'm going to click on that, and it's going to give us another option where we can save and new. And basically what the save and new does is it will save this account, and then it will bring us back to a blank copy. So if we have another account to add, we can do that. Or if we do save and close, it's going to save this, and then it's just going to close us out and take us back to the chart of accounts. So we're going to do save and close, and it tells us that Ask My Accountant was saved, and we can scroll down, and there is my Ask My Accountant that we just created. So I think it was Bryce, and I apologize, I've already cleared that out, that had asked the question about the account tab. Okay. So Bryce, I'm going to give you two answers because I'm not sure exactly what you meant by account tab. So to get to the chart of accounts on the navigation bar, we just go to accounting, and then we can click on chart of accounts. And then to create a new account, we just clicked on the new button, and then that brought us to the account screen, which that may have been what you were asking. So that takes us here. The other thing that we can do is, I had shared with you earlier that you can import your chart of accounts. So sometimes, so I'm working like for one of my businesses, so that I don't have to go and recreate the wheel. I'm working with another accountant, and they already have a chart of accounts. So once I just get that from them, I am just going to import that chart of accounts. I think they have it on a spreadsheet, an Excel program spreadsheet. and then I'll just be able to import that in. And so I don't have to go in and create all these accounts myself. Okay. All right. Thanks, Bryce. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly too. Okay, so that's the chart of accounts demo that we wanted to do. And let me stop sharing my screen. And let's see here. Alrighty. So let's go to product and service. Let me go over that with you. All right. So as I had shared with you earlier, in your business, you do have products, and some of you may have services, and some of you may have a combination of both, that you provide products and you provide services. So how do you actually incorporate those or enter those into your business? And so one way of doing that I showed you earlier is through the list, where you go up to the gear icon here and click on it, and you can go to the list option. Another way of doing that, because product and services are related to your customers, then you can go into the sales option that's on the left navigation bar, and then you can just see how this just pops up: overview, all sales, invoices, and then at the bottom is products and services. And so we can just click on that. So here's our product and service list, and it is the sixth tab on the sales portion. And we have some neat things here. First off, it gives us a picture view of the inventory items that are low in, that we probably want to consider purchasing, as well as those items that are out of stock. Both of them says that they're 0, so we don't have an issue. We don't need to order anything. But if we did, we could just click on, and which is what I just did. I just clicked on the 0, the out of stock, and then down here at the bottom, if there was something that was out of stock, then it would tell me exactly what that product was. And then of course the same thing for low stock, it would tell me. But we're good on those. So I just clicked off on there was a little X there, I don't know if you noticed it. And now down here I can see all of my products and services that I've already entered into my data file. So one of the first services that I have is design. Since this is a landscape company, then they offer design work, and that is a service. So here's all the services, or the design service that I offer. And then the next would be actually products that I offer. So we provide, the concrete, when we lay the concrete. Let me open this up a little bit. When we actually install the concrete, so that's a service. So here's the type right here. And then we also have to provide them a pump, because it's a fountain. So that's an actual physical piece. So that's our inventory. Rock fountain, again, that's an actual physical piece. So that's an inventory. garden lighting, and this is probably where we're actually going and laying the lights down. You know, I don't know. The rocks, probably where we're physically putting the rocks around the fountain. Okay, so that's, again, just looking at this at a glance. The type will tell us whether it's a service or product. Then the next column that we have here is our sales price. So what we are going to sell to our customer, the items that we are selling or providing to our customers, what they're going to pay for. So that's the sales price. And then the next column is what it costs us. So in this cost column, you would only have what really the physical products would be, like your pump and your rock fountain, because you're buying those from someone else and then you're going to resell them. So it costs you $10 for the pump, but you're going to sell it for $15. Okay, makes sense, right? Clear as mud, right? Okay, I think I have some questions there. Let's see.
I'm back, Sandra. I'll read them.
Okay, cool.
Bryce or Briss, I'm not going to sleep tonight until we find out. All the plans have the inventory part. We use our material to provide the service.
So you're saying okay, do all the plans have the inventory part? So no, not all of them do, because Simple Start does not. But all of the other ones do have it where you can track inventory parts.
Thank you, Sandra. And what happens with my clients is they don't want to enter inventory, so then I tell them you're going to have a hard time doing estimates then, right? Okay.
Right. Right.
Okay. Elsa says, not sure if you can answer this now, but I contacted the state and federal programs to work on special projects. At times I can invoice the completion of each piece of the contract, but other times not until the project is completed. How can I record this?
So, progressive invoicing, and I know it's not in Essentials, but definitely plus in Advance, where you can do progressive invoicing. Which is exactly what you're talking about. So you have the project, and you can go in and say, well, 25% of this is finished, and then you can bill them for it. So those two will allow you to do that.
Perfect, thank you. That's all the Q&A in there right now.
Okay, cool. Okay, so let's go on and create a see if I have enough time. Let's see, it's 12:10, so we have 20 minutes to go on and create an invoice, a product, and a service. So we'll see if we can do both of those. So just like the other screen when we were on chart of accounts, we have a new button. We also have a drop down button where, again, if you have in Excel or maybe another spreadsheet format all of your products and services, then you can import that in. And so you don't have to go in and type all of it all again individually, right? So we'll go on and click New. And then we have this, and QuickBooks calls it a drawer, that kind of slides open. So you have a choice of inventory. And again, inventory is where you want to track the quantity of what you're buying and then you're going to sell. Non-inventory is for products that you buy and that you are going to sell, but you don't want to keep track of the quantities. And an example like nails. You know, you do want to purchase the nails and then resell them, but like for a construction business, you're probably not going to count that I use 15 nails to do this room, okay? That could be a little bit tedious and definitely not probably worth your time. Then the third would be a service that you're providing. And then again, much like the example, we had design services, or if you are a lawyer, then that would be, your retainer that you would do as a service. And then you have bundles. And bundles, just really love this example. It's still where you still have, you provide the products separately, but then sometimes you bundle them together. And a great example of that is like a floral shop, where they will have maybe flower pots that are already put together, and all you'll have to do is when you come to the store, just select one and then you buy it. But it's already has the pot, the soil, the plant. Let's say it has a little teddy bear in there and already has a card, and already the plastic that's over it. They can set that up as a bundle. So that's how you would use that. And definitely, like in Simple Start, this is not an option, but the other three, the bundle, if I'm not mistaken, the other three, the bundle is. Okay, so let's go on and do inventory. So we'll click on the inventory, and at some, maybe I decided, I really didn't want to do inventory. I wanted this as a non-inventory. I can change the type, and it just takes me back to that same screen. And then I can click non-inventory. Okay. So let's say that we are going to do an inventory piece. We're going to do a red wagon. We're going to add that to our landscape. So if you do have a SKU number, you can enter that. You don't have to. Again, there's not an asterisk. Well, okay, that's not a red asterisk. So, but you don't have to put anything in the SKU here. If you have set up categories like this business has, they have a design category, a fountain, a landscape, pest control. You can set up categories, and again, it just depends on your type of business, your workflow. But you don't have to put it in a category. Initial quantity on hand. We haven't purchased the red wagon, so of course we're not going to put anything in here. We're going to leave it blank. And the order point. So we want QuickBooks to let us know when it gets below a certain number of red wagons. We want it to remind us that we're low on stock or we're out of stock. So our reorder point, we're going to say is 1. And all inventory goes into another account that's called inventory asset. And basically what inventory asset is really just holding all of your inventory until you sell it to your customers. Take my word for it. That'll be another conversation you can have one-on-one, or definitely with your accountant. Okay. Then how do you want this red wagon described on the invoice that you prepare for your customers? I should say sales form, because it could be a receipt. So we want it to say pretty red wagon instead of just red wagon. Or you could have just said red wagon. It could be the same, but it's really just how your customers will see it on the sales form. Then the sales price rate. What are you going to sell it to your customers for? So we're going to say we're going to do $100. Now you can leave this area blank, and just depending on, you could change the price from customer to customer. Even if you put something in here, you can always change the price when you actually print the sales form. So this $100, QuickBooks wants to know what chart of account do you want this $100 to go into? Because you're telling QuickBooks, I'm going to charge them $100 for this red wagon. Now, when I actually create that invoice or that sales receipt, QuickBooks, I want you to put it where? And that's where that chart of account becomes important. So QuickBooks will automatically default to an income account. It may not be the right income account that you want it to go into. So right now we have a sales of product income. And if you like that, that's great. But maybe you want to create a new account. And you can do that at this point. You can click Add New. And if you remember the chart of accounts that I had went to earlier to create that Ask My Accountant, that same screen will come up so that you can create a new income account. Clear as mud, right? Just love that accounting. I can't see your faces, but I'm so glad that Christopher put his smiley picture up. So I'm thinking that all of you guys are smiling anyway, right? Okay, so there was another question that was asked earlier about taxes, sales tax. So this is where you let QuickBooks know that this $100 is taxable. And definitely in the state of New Mexico, it will be taxable. So we're going to say it's taxable at the standard rate, or if you do have some products or services that are not taxable, well, if you're a grocery store, there are some of your groceries, your food items that are not taxable, and then you would click non-taxable. Okay. And then the purchase information. So this is for those of you who will use purchase orders. I find that a lot of our clients really don't use purchase orders. And Bryce, I know because you've asked several questions that you have some inventory parts. I don't know if you use purchase orders. But if you do, then this is where you can enter information on that red wagon. So maybe the vendor that you purchase it from, maybe they describe it as a big red wagon. And so that's what you can put here, big red wagon, because that's how your vendor describes it. And then it costs you, $20 to purchase that. And the expense that it's going to go into is what we call the cost of goods sold. So basically, when you purchase it, that $20 would go into an account that's called inventory assets for $20. And then when you sell it to your customers by creating an invoice or a sales receipt, then you are charging your customers $100, and then that cost of goods, that $20, because that wagon you no longer have, comes out of your inventory asset account, and it goes into what we call a cost of goods sold account, to show that for that $100, your gross profit was $80. 100 minus 20, right? I should have put my little chalkboard up so we can visualize that. So that's all that this entire entry is doing for us. So we're setting it up so that QuickBooks will do all of this for us in the background. But it's important that we really set it up correctly, when we're starting. Okay, I think there's some Q&A.
Let's see. Bryce says, on sales tax category, we use NTTCs to buy our products. Should I choose as non-taxable?
That's a great question, but what we're doing on this one, Bryce, is we are entering information when we sell it to our clients. So when we sell it to our customers, we have to charge them taxes. And so when we have here where we're putting the $20, that's $20 not including the tax, because you're using NTTC. So NTTC does not really relate to what we're talking about right now.
Maybe if they gave you an NTTC, right?
Well, he says when we buy.
When you
yeah.
buy.
So we're really just talking about the transaction when we are selling it to our customers. Hopefully that makes sense. So we haven't even got to where we're buying it from our vendors per se.
Perfect. Michaela asks, would the vendor's model or SQ number go into the purchasing information description field? I don't think it does.
No, because what it will do is when you do that purchase order, that SKU will come up, and you can, but it's not in the description field. So, and let me see if I can actually bring that up here shortly. Let's go back to Bryce's before you do Chris's.
Okay, so if they issue an NTTC, should we mark as non-taxable?
Okay, so again, Bryce, when we're talking about this that I have on the screen, we're just really listing here the information about our vendor. This is just really providing us with basic information that we need to give to our vendor that we want to purchase. Now, in addition to that purchase purchase that you do, you will, yes, give them an NTTC. But as far as our purposes here, what we're talking about, the NTTC doesn't come into play here.
Perfect. Thank you, Sandra.
I don't know if I really answered that for you, Bryce.
You know what I'm going to do, Sandra? I'm going to chat over.
Oh, he says he understands.
Okay. I'm going to chat to everybody the link to the New Mexico Taxation and Revenue Department workshops, because that's a good place to. And I've never wholesaled anything, so I don't have much insight about that. I don't know if you've been a wholesaler before, Sandra.
Yeah, I have a little bit of information, but I know. Okay, what does Chris say?
As prices change, do we edit the entry? And then all future transactions will reflect the change?
So yes, you can edit it here. However, when you create the invoice or the sales receipt, you can always change the price rate. So you'll see it when we get to the invoice.
Perfect. That's all I see open. I'm going to chat over the link. The New Mexico Taxation and Revenue Department hosts twice monthly webinars about new businesses and new employers, and they're well worth your attendance. Let's see what I have in the chat.
Okay.
Oh, it's Elsa says they're no longer having the class, but they offer via webinar now, Elsa.
and it's pre-recorded, so it's on demand. So, once you guys finish this class, you could just rush right over there to their YouTube channel and look at some of their webinars. They really are informative. It really is.
All okay, right. That's all I see.
Okay, so the same option. We can save and close, or we can save and new, meaning we can go on and add another one. So we have 3 minutes, so I'm going to go on and do save and new. Oh, please enter. Oh, I need to do 0. See how it stopped me? All right, let's do save and new. Okay, let's put today's date. What is today? The 8th. So picky, but it stopped me. So I did save and new, and now I want to do a service, just so that you all can see that. So the service, again, is just something, labor, that basically I'm providing to my customers. And we're just going to say general overview. I don't know. Trying to think of something. I can't think of anything right now. Probably for a service. I mean, you could have it skewed if you wanted to, a number to it. You can do that. The other thing, and of course for a service, I don't know if that's really appropriate, but you can upload maybe a picture view, like of your product, or again of the service. You want to do a picture view of it, you can actually upload it. So that's what this is here. Again, you can choose a category if you want. And then here you can mark, I sell this product or service to my customers. So we're saying, everything we're selling to our customers, but there may be something that maybe you have a contractor come in and do a cleanup after a job, and maybe you won't sell that particular service to your customers. Then you would uncheck that. Okay, but we're going to keep it checked. Again, we're going to say how much is our sale price, and to answer, and I apologize, I can't remember your name. You don't have to enter anything in the rate box here. You can leave it blank, and so we'll do that. We'll just leave that blank. Okay, and then our income account. Again, where do we want this service to go into our chart of accounts? We're just going to say service. Is this service taxable? So let's say that it's not, and maybe this is kind of where Bryce was kind of going with this, because there are some nonprofits don't have to pay for labor service or for services, and which ones those are and what it is, I don't know. That's why it'd be great to go through the taxation and revenue webinar. But let's say that there is a service that you offer that's not taxable, and the majority of the customers that want general overview service is a nonprofit. Then you can go in and you can make it non-taxable. And so anytime again you create that sales form, it's going to come up that this service is not taxable. And by you selecting it as non-taxable, then QuickBooks knows that never to add this amount that you get from this service to your the gross receipts tax that you owe. Okay. And here, kind of like my example earlier when I was saying that you have the contractor and you have them come in and clean up something for you after a job. So you purchase this from a janitorial service, and then either you resell it or not sell it to your customers, but you want to already have it as a service item. Then you can enter this information. We're going to click that off because the service is provided internally by our customers. Okay? Alrighty. So from there, we'll just do save and close. And now we already have a product, that red wagon, that is low in stock. And we're also out of stock of it too because we don't have any. Alrighty, it is already 12:30. Gosh, I can't believe time flew by so fast. And we definitely want to be sensitive to your time. For some reason, if you all have any questions or comments or things that come up during the week, I'm going to just quickly type in my email address. Is that okay, Christopher?
That is fine.
Reach out to me.
Yeah, because I don't know if I'd be too helpful with the question.
So there's my email address, and you have a question or something like, oh, I really do want to know the answer to this, go on and send that to me in the subject matter. Go on and put questions for QuickBooks Online class, and if you get it to me at least by Wednesday of next week, then I will try to have an answer for you on Friday. I will tell you, and I do apologize, I wanted to be a lot further than what we were, so I think I talked too much, and I apologize. So next week we may go pretty fast. So thank you, and I appreciate everyone, and everyone have a wonderful New Mexico weekend. You guys take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Sandra, and thanks to everybody who attended. I'll stay on with you for just a bit, Sandra. Let me
okay, well, before you get everybody out, I don't think they got my email. Let me put it in again. Okay. I think I put it in right. And actually,
yeah, you put it in right.
Okay, so it's Sandra, so just my first name, Sandra dot Sawyer, SAWYER, at clovis.edu. And thank you all so much, very much.
I allowed the people who are labeled as test to speak. Could you tell me what your name is so I could change it before you log off? And you're on mute. You just have to unmute if you'd like to speak, or well, to tell me your name.